Hi there! I haven't been building a jet model for a while. So let's build the Hasegawa TF-104G in 48 scale. I bought some resin detail sets for this kit long time ago. Not sure these are still available on market, but possibly they are. Oh, I forgot these. Two more sets came out of the bottom of the box. Great. Let's start the build with the A-Race resin cockpit set. A-Race resin sets require some works on them. They are not shake and bake detail sets. However, the details and realism they deliver are worth it. Another disadvantage is that resin dust is highly carcinogenic. Do not breathe this dust. That's why I keep them wet all the time and prevent dust from forming. Another annoying issue about these sets is support resin bases are too thick and cutting takes too long. However, I know that these supports are necessary so that the resin does not deform. No pain, no gain. By the way, you are watching all the tricks I use to cut resin pieces. The assembly of this part is a bit tricky. It doesn't seem to snap into place. But after trying it from different angles a few times, you realize it snaps into place. Note that and do not modify the parts. Now it's time to prepare the fuselage. After marking the section to be cut, I start cutting the excess parts. I'm washing the resin pieces in warm water with dish soap to clean the oil layer on them. Let me show you an old Indian trick. Using the paint chipping method for a different purpose. The belt details of the resin seats come as PE in the set and you have to add them to the seats. A few hand tools like a diamond file, a good pair of scissors and a good pair of tweezers will make this a lot easier. I randomly bent and deformed the metal seat belts to add realism. I don't want to see a straight belt in a cockpit like it's been ironed. After adding them all, the result is like this. I'm sure I didn't cut this part too far. Even so, it barely sits in place. Let's fix this. I marked the cutting line with 1mm masking tape. Well, I can apply the primer. And then the main color. With dry brushing a light gray paint, I added lighter tones and highlight the edges. I painted the seats with acrylic paints. And also I paint the cockpit details with brush. After adding the remaining PE details, all parts are ready to gloss varnish. I applied several types of weathering washes. And then I'm wiping the excess wash with turpentine and a sponge piece. After the wash has been dried, I can apply the flat varnish layer. I draw the old edges with the old details with pastel pencils. This is an artistic touch that makes all the details pop and stand out. Let's complete the final assembly and the details. Well, here is the result so far. Before closing the fuselage house, I need to prepare the internal components such as the exhaust and landing gear base for assembly. Let's start with the classic steps: cutting and cleaning the parts. If you have built enough Hasegawa kits, you are probably familiar with their design language. This kit features a different design approach. I've heard a rumor that another model company, which I can't recall the name of, was working on an F-104. When they went out of business, supposedly Hasegawa acquired their molds and continued production. If anyone can confirm or deny this, please share your knowledge. Because these rivet details and landing gear assembly method are not at all typical of Hasegawa. The ejection pin marks in some critical areas need to be removed. They can be scraped off or filled and sanded smooth for a better fit. Now I'm roughly paint the exhaust parts before gluing them in place, as painting them afterwards would be impossible. To ensure a proper alignment for the resin cockpit set, instead of gluing the cockpit to the fuselage, I'm simply placing it into the cockpit well like this. I'm now gluing the fuselage halves together step by step. Since the fuselage is very thin and consists of two long parts, it's natural for them to have some warping and deformation due to plastic injection process. To achieve the smoothest possible finish, I'm checking at every step to prevent any potential warping or misalignment. Now that the fuselage is completely glued together, I can permanently secure the cockpit set, which has been loosely fitted in its compartment using white glue. While the glue dries, let's assemble the wings and fuel tanks and to do surface works like sanding, filling. I need to paint the unpainted parts of the cockpit. To avoid wasting the remaining paint, I am also masking the canopy frames, which need to be painted with the same color to prepare them for painting. As I mentioned, due to plastic injection process, some parts may have deformations. In this kit, the air intakes are usually the problematic areas. In order to prevent damaging the surrounding details while sanding, I'm masking off the areas around the gaps before filling them with putty. Even though I filled the gaps and sanded the surface smoothly, there's still a visible level difference. It seems I will need to repeat the process of applying putty and sanding. I'm applying a primer coat for inspection, and I don't see any issues. So let's continue with the assembly. For parts that take time to align, I naturally use white glue. These disposable glasses wipes are handy for cleaning transparent parts like canopies. After masking the cockpit, the model is ready for primer. I can't find the original paint in local stores, so I will use Gunze H306 as recommended by experts. This color is a blue-gray when freshly painted, but the blue hue is missing after a few months under the sun. This is why the upper parts of airplanes appear lighter, while the nose and tail sections, often exposed to the sun at a different angle, maintain a darker tone. The first step is to apply a light gray to create a fading effect. I think that's enough for now. I will apply different shades of gray next. Let's start with the bluish tones. You can clearly see fresh paint patches, especially around the hedges on the upper surface of this aircraft. I am adding these patches first. And the credit goes to the effects I've created are quite fragile and easily scratched. To protect them, I'm applying a thick layer of glossy varnish right away. With this step completed, I can move on to painting the remaining details and applying the decals. I've never encountered such a thick Hasegawa decal before. Despite my efforts, I've been unable to reduce the thickness in certain areas. If you are constantly having the same problem as I do, accidentally spilling your homemade weathering wash, then this solution is for you. I applied a heavy weathering wash layer and wiped it with Zippo liquid. Next, I'm focusing on the landing gear. By adding some cables and hoses, I'm getting them ready for the painting process. With the matte varnish applied, the model is now ready for the final stage of weathering, including fading and other special effects. I'm applying a layer of light colors to give the model a faded effect again after the wash has darkened it. Then I'm applying my classic post-shade weathering technique to the model. And this final filter coat is applied to areas where the base color has faded less. Instead of finishing the model at this point, I'm going to show you different ways to achieve these effects since not everyone has access to the same resources. Achieving a fresh paint patch effect is easy. You will only need a watercolor pencil, a silicone shaper, and water. For post-shading, weathering and runoff effects, you will need soft pastels, a silicone shaper, and some tape. And of course, to protect all these effects, I apply a final coat of matte varnish. Alright, let's finish the model. Sorry in advance if the footage is a bit choppy. My big head keeps getting in the way of the camera. Well, thanks for watching this episode. If you liked the video, please like and share. Subscribe my channel if you haven't yet. Also, you can support my channel if you can see the join button below or on Patreon. The links are in the information section below. See you soon on the next episode. Until then, take care of yourself and keep modeling. Bye.